I know all the people there. We didn't need to hear the presentations. It was like, let's spend more of the day going to Legoland and doing fun stuff. Hey, Lego fans, my name's Graham. I'm here with my Blocks buddy Daniel, and it's about to be 10 years of recognised Lego Fan Media Days. So this is when we'll go over to Billund with a bunch of other people who work on websites, who are influencers, who create content, and Lego's going to share some stuff. We'll have some presentations, some product reveals, some designer interviews, all this sort of good stuff. And we realised as it's 10 years of Lego Fan Media Days, why don't we look back at some of the fan media days that have gone by? Because it's amazing, Daniel, to think that it's been 10 years of this. It still seems like a new initiative to me.
Yeah, no, it really does feel like yesterday that you were letting me know that you were going to Billund to get to do this, and I was so jealous because those first few years, it was I wasn't with you, to my eternal regret. So, was it when you got the? Do you remember, Graham, first hearing about it? Like where you were, what your emotions were, like were you excited? Did it sound weird? Like what? How did? Tell me about the beginning.
That's a really good question because, yeah, I hadn't thought about this for ages. But at the time, I was a features writer on Brox, and I got a call from the editor at the time, Rob Payton, and he said to me, "Right, next week, Lego are doing this thing in Billund. Can you make it over there?" And at the time, I had like other work commitments and things, so I was like, "Maybe, I don't know. I'm going to have to try and figure this out and see whether it's possible." Unfortunately, I was able to make it happen. But yeah, it was a relatively last minute thing. It was something that I hadn't expected to crop up, and it was very much something that had been put together at quite short notice, from what I gather. Hence the late invite to it. But for that first one, it was really different to what it is today. So, I mean, even that picture we just saw there, actually, I brought it back up of like the old Lego headquarters.
Yeah.
Before they got this big fancy campus, it was this sort of old office block style building, nothing fancy, nothing special, just, and not a big tall building that dominated the skyline or anything, just a relatively flat building.
And what year was this, Graham? When was the first one 2016 or was it 2017?
It was, yeah, 2016.
Wow.
And this was the first time I got to go down into the vault that used to be under Lego Idea House, where, they stored all of the old sets and everything. But that was just a bonus. The sort of purpose of the event was that some of the Lego themes that are particularly appealing to adults, so things like Technic, Bionicle. In fact, I think it was just basically Technic and Bionicle. So Bionicle had come back at this point. It was that little resurrection that they did of it. And those guys wanted to get in touch with the adult fan community, to let fan media have a look at what they were doing, to get some messages out there. So they gave us the opportunity to go over there and interview the designers on those teams. So, like, if you think of what Lego Fan Media Days is today, when Lego icons and ideas are there, and all these different themes are there, showing us loads of different things. This was a completely different ball game. It was really small. It was really just a few product lines that wanted to show us what they were up to.
Do you know, was it an idea that was basically generated by the Technic and Bionicle teams? Like, is that where it came from? Like, where did the original idea come from? Because that is really interesting. I didn't realize that it was only those two themes.
Well, I'm not 100% sure whether they originated it and went to the community team with it, or whether it was the other way around. But they were definitely sort of driving it and really the kind of core components of it, because there were a few Technic websites and things who were there, who obviously kind of were there for some kind of deep dives into Technic. But my friend Sam Johnson, who I went to university with, who's been at the Lego group for like 15 years now, I mentioned to him that I was going to be there. He was like, "Why are you going to be in Billund?" I'm like, "Well, they're doing this thing called Fan Media Days." And he was like, "Well, why haven't they invited Nexo Nights? I'll come along." So then he just sort of got in touch with the community team and invited himself. So we got 3 themes thanks to well, I'll take credit for it.
Yeah, it sounds like thanks to you. Take the credit.
And ideas were there as well, actually, but there was no product designer from ideas there. It was like the community guys on ideas who were there kind of talking about the platform as a whole rather than specifically about the products. and
Oh,
just
the maze. Forgotten about that one. Oh,
that was a fun start. That
it
was a fun
was.
one. And Lego House at the time was still under construction in the centre of
Mhm.
Billund, so that was quite interesting seeing that sort of half built.
Wow.
And there was like a viewing platform that you could go and kind of see the construction from relatively high up. And we had a presentation on what it was going to be, and it sounded really cool at the time. They had like a Lego model of what it was going to be,
Mm.
but yeah, it was one of those things where you thought, well, if this is half as good as it sounds, I'm really looking
Yeah,
forward to it. And
that's awesome.
we all know how much we end up loving what it is today.
Oh, yeah. How many people were there, Graham, with you?
Ooh,
Like, it must have been a
around
much
about
smaller group.
yeah, around 15 people in total, I would say probably. Yeah, it was a different beast. Honestly, it was such a kind of shoestring thing. It felt
Mm,
really cobbled together, and not in a bad way. There was a real charm to it, but
mm,
it felt like it was a new thing that people were
mm,
trying out and figuring out. And I'm just trying to think what else happened. Oh, I think we had the factory tour that time actually,
mm.
which
Nice.
was pretty cool because we were actually allowed to take photos. And I've never been on a factory tour since when we've been allowed to do that.
Me either.
So I'm really relieved that on that occasion we were because those photos have come in handy in Blocks magazine over the years.
I've definitely used them a few times.
And if people want to see great things like factory tour insights, then go over to blocksmag.com, check out the great value subscription packages and the single issues because we do great stuff in this magazine every month using the content that we get from things like Lego
Mm.
Fan Media Days.
So, Graham, obviously 2016, it was kind of a last minute thing, kind of maybe a little bit rushed and very focused on a few teams. But obviously, it must have been successful enough because here we are, having had 9 of them since, or coming up on the ninth one since, 10 in total. So, tell me about 2017 because obviously you were asked back the next year.
Yeah, so I think I was there on behalf of Brick Fanatics that year,
Mhm.
and I think Rob was there for Blocks or something like that. Basically, I've been to these on behalf of Blocks a bunch of times and behalf on Brick Fanatics a few times as well. So it all kind of blurs into one now.
Mm.
But yeah, so this year when we turned up, we were inside Lego House as the venue, but Lego House, as you can see in this picture, was not finished yet. Lego House was very much a construction site still. But the vivid memory I have is seeing the tree for the first time in that empty, cavernous building and just going, wow. Because, we've seen big builds a lot of times at this stage. You've seen those massive things in Legoland, but that tree of creativity was like a next level big build. It was one of those things that even as someone who could be like a bit jaded from seeing Lego for so long was like, okay, that stopped me in my tracks. And that was, I remember that moment really vividly.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, it was wild to be in the building while everything was still empty and
Mm.
still being put together, and there was plasterboard everywhere and things. It was pretty wild.
Where did they have you gather? Was it in that like conference room area over there that they have to the side kind of for events?
Yeah, exactly. It was in the forum, so it was that big empty
Okay.
space. They had some tables set up for us in there, and there's kind of a big projector in there. So that was where most of the
Mm.
activities happened. In fact, I think we went over to Idea House for part of it as well. So that's the Lego Group's corporate museum, and they have a lot
Yep.
of meeting rooms and things in there that they can use for this sort of thing. And it's the sort of place where they're not too scared to have people like us. Like, they don't want us running around
Yeah.
Innovation House or any of the secret buildings. But Idea House is somewhere where there's not too much that we can see that we shouldn't see. But yeah, so here's you can see like the history collection where
Mm.
it had sort of been half loaded up. So some of the cabinets had things in and some of them didn't.
Mm.
Yeah, it was that was interesting.
That's crazy. That's so
And
cool.
yeah, the CEO at the time, Bali Pada, came and talked to us. He did like a
Mhm.
roundtable discussion where we could just ask him questions and things like that, which was a really great bit of content to get. Obviously, a really nice thing to have. But he wasn't the CEO for very long, so we need to get Niels B. Christensen. We still
Yes.
need to do the interview or the roundtable with him.
Or Keld, like the Godfather. So, yeah.
Well, that's another Billund story. We'll do that one another time. We must tell the
Yes.
story of the
Yes.
Kelvin
A
interview.
bit of a preview there. It did happen inadvertently.
Exactly. So, At this point, I should mention, because obviously a lot of what people see about LEGO Fan Media Days is the product reveals. So they see the videos online of a blanket getting whipped off and a brand new product getting shown. But back in these days, we didn't really get shown new products at Fan Media Days. We were there at the end of May, beginning of June, when all of the new summer stuff had been revealed. And that's what we were usually interviewing people about, the summer stuff that had already been announced. Getting to actually have a product reveal was quite unusual. So this is a venue that's not there anymore. It's a restaurant in Billund that did steak and kebab and pizza, like many of the establishments in Billund do.
Well,
And
why
that
is it
was
always why is it always three things? Every restaurant in Billund, it feels like it has to be three different things that don't necessarily go together, and there's just different orders of the same words. It's so funny.
well, this was our venue. This was, we all got pizza and everything. And then the ideas team did a reveal of the old fishing store. Yeah, and that was our big product reveal for that year. But at the same time it got revealed here, I think it was put up online as well. So it wasn't like an embargoed reveal. It was something that we were seeing at the same time as everyone else. So just very interesting to see how that has evolved over time, the idea of product reveals and things. Oh, okay, I lied. We did get to see some early things at this particular Fan Media Days. So this is Chris Stamp, another guy who's been at the LEGO Group for a long time. Always has very fascinating things to say about the process of LEGO design. And he was working on LEGO Ninjago at the time. And as well as the sets that had already been released and things, he brought with him the Destiny's Bounty from the LEGO Ninjago movie. So, yeah, he gave us a little taste of what was going to be in the movie, which was pretty fun and pretty unusual. We didn't usually get to see things early. And to get something as cool as that early was pretty exciting.
Didn't you guys get like pulled into a room after one of these presentations and got shown some of the Lego Ninjago movie stuff? Because I remember getting a call from Rob when you were like in one of these, like you'd been pulled aside, and he was like, "Could you build a giant Ninjago city? We're talking with Lego here, and they want to do, they want us to do something." And I was like, "Sure." So that was my first little taste of being involved in fan media.
It wasn't quite as spontaneous as that. We weren't quite pulled aside during the event. It was something a little bit more set up. You know what, though? I mean, I feel like we're teasing too much and not saying enough here, but why don't we should do a video on that. We should do a video on the Lego Ninjago movie presentation that we had. I genuinely feel like I can just talk about that for ages. So I know that if I get on it, I'll get derailed. But we should 100% do that. So if anyone's interested in that, let us know in the comments, because we will 100% make that video if people want to hear about it. Because
that'd be awesome.
It was really cool.
Sorry, I derailed us. Go ahead.
Used to talk about your build again as well, because that thing was epic, man.
That was
something special.
That was awesome.
But yeah, so after just telling you that the old fishing store was really unusual, we actually also got shown the Destiny's Bounty early at this event. But again, this was a bit of an exception. Most of the stuff that we saw at this time was stuff that was already out there in the public eye. Brickheads was another big deal at this point. That was something that was quite new. So yeah, Marcos Besser and Austin Carlson were really excited to show us that stuff. Yeah, we had friends interviews. We had all sorts of good interviews. And then the whole thing got wrapped up with a trip to LEGOLAND Billund. We all gave presentations about the media that we were there representing and things, and telling people about what we do. And I know all the people there. We didn't need to hear the presentations. It was like, let's spend more of the day going to Legoland and doing fun stuff. If you want to find out about all of the latest Lego sets, including the ones that we see early at Recognized Lego Fan Media Days, then sign up for our newsletter. The URL is down in the description. It's completely free, and you'll get the news about the very latest Lego sets the second that they're announced. Daniel, you got out to Billund in 2018 for the first time.
Finally. Oh, it killed me the first 2 years, because you guys, and you were so mean the year before this, because you and Rob and Chris, who were with Blocks and Brick Fanatics, you all stayed together in this like little cabin somewhere, and you FaceTimed, or Skype, it was probably Skype back then at that point. And you're like, "Yeah, we're all here. Wish you were here." I was like, "I wish I was there too." So yes, 2018, we finally made it happen. And this was the year of you've stayed in a lot of different places, but I really do think, and I'm a little biased because obviously it was my first year, so it was magical, but this little farmhouse this Airbnb outside of town that we stayed in was just so lovely. And
This was better than the one we had the year before by far. There was a lot of space here. It was really nice.
And then this was the year that you guys got delayed. Like, you spent the night in the airport because I ended up having to check into this place by myself, like not having the reservation in my name, and it became this whole ordeal. And then I had to ride into Billund and find my way to the Lego Idea House myself. And you guys like showed up all bedraggled, having been up for 24 hours the next morning, you poor souls.
That is exactly it. We had a 6 p.m. flight, and it was with Ryanair, which is, an infamously cheap, no-frills airline. So they kindly let us sit on the airport floor in this massive queue trying to get something resolved. I think we got to the front of the queue at like 5 a.m. the next morning, and there was a flight departing at 6 a.m. And so we had to persuade them to give us a standby ticket to that flight, and then had to run across the airport in order to make it. And it was one of those, literally, like, you felt the gate doors closing behind you as you made it onto this flight. It was, and then, I remember arriving, having to come straight into these presentations and things, and just being so tired. And it was really warm in that room, and I could just feel myself not being able to focus or concentrate on anything that was being said.
Yeah. And this year was awesome because the entire thing, I mean, other than some of the events, that we went to, like Legoland, et cetera, it was all in the Lego Idea House.
Yes.
The old System Vi factory, where so much history there. And that's where they have the kind of private, Lego company or Lego group museum. And so in between sessions, like in between interviews, I remember getting to walk back there, and it was just like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And I took pictures of I don't know if you guys have it in the UK, but there's a very popular show here from a few years back called Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And the main character, he loves the movie Die Hard. And at one point there's an episode where he goes to Nakatomi Plaza where it was filmed, and like around every corner, he's like, it's this thing, take my picture with it. And that's how I felt in the Lego Idea. I was like, oh my gosh, it's this thing, take my picture with it. So it was so good.
It was it was so good to meet you in person finally, and actually just be able to hang out and like enjoy this stuff together, because we'd been working together for a few years, but we'd never actually been in a real life place together.
Yep, that's right. And that still is kind of our thing. Like that's part of the, the kind of the added bonus for you and I at Fan Media Days is it's the one time in the year where we actually get to be together, which is always super fun. Oh, the Plants from Plants. That was that year. Yes.
Yeah, so this was when the Lego Group first told us that they were trying to replace all of the plastics that they were using with other types of materials, and that they had got there in terms of being able to make botanical elements from bioplastics. And they let us hold the new bioplastic elements and the old style of elements side by sides and things. And what was also really cool was they showed us some bricks, didn't they, where they tried to make them from different materials.
Mm-hmm.
They were no good. Their clutch power was too strong or too weak, and we got to handle them and play with them. And I think we took photos of them, but obviously the photos don't tell you a lot, because unless you've got them in your hands, you can't really get a sense of why they don't work. So I think this is an illustration of how sometimes they bring a bunch of Lego media and influencers and so on over, and then bring a bunch of Lego designers over to talk to us and for us to interview. But then it's like, okay, where are we going to do all of this? Where have we actually got space for this? So every nook and cranny of Lego Idea House, there was someone doing an interview somewhere. And Mark Stafford was outside talking about Harry Potter on this particular year. And this is when Harry Potter came back, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And this was the year, like, there was a mix, because some of it was stuff that had already been released, and then there was some that hadn't yet, and like the ones that had to be embargoed were inside, where people walking by couldn't see. But
was this the year when we saw Lego Ideas Voltron? I think that was one of the embargoed sets this year.
Yes, it was absolutely one. Yep. Oh, yes, I remember this, the pizza night with the trains.
So this was above the Lego Group canteen that's opposite Innovation House. And they bought us pizza and Lego City trains, and you sat and built like 2 Lego City trains and connected them and had them going around.
We weren't allowed to take no one was allowed to just take the set like in the box. Like we all had to sit there and build it. So it was like, I think there were probably 20, 25 of us at this point. And yeah, every fan media got one of the sets. And then we were supposed to build it and then give feedback. But yeah, I managed to I can't remember. I can't remember if there was a group that wasn't there. Somehow there was an extra one, and I talked Kim into letting me build it and make like this super train where it was, it's like two. It was at least two, if not even three of them joined together. And I brought them back with me. I still have 2 copies of that red. It was the red train from that year. And I'm sorry, the yellow train, and I still have those multiple copies of it. That was a fun time.
And yeah, there's Hugh and Tom building the Bugatti.
And the reason that was that year too.
Oh, yeah, the reason there's a copy of the Bugatti knocking around for us to build is because the following morning there's a big press conference in Lego House, big products presentation, where they'd actually got people from Bugatti there as well to unveil I'm trying to think if it was being unveiled or if it had already been announced and this was just a big fancy product launch. It was one or the other, though.
I can't remember what it was. Yeah, it was one of those.
Big bells and whistles event for it, and really taking advantage of the space that you've got in Lego House to do that sort of thing. It was really, really cool to think that sort of 2 years prior, Lego House had been under construction, and now you could do something like this in it and have, press from all over, Lego press, motorcar press, all sorts of different kind of people there. It was really interesting, this one, because getting to hear from the Lego side of it and the Bugatti side of it and hear the 2 different companies' perspectives was really, this one was really interesting. It was really something different and unusual and just really cool that they were able to make Fan Media Days coincide with when this was going on.
We got a copy of the set early to build because they wanted us to have built it before we got there so we could, again, give feedback and ask intelligent questions at this press conference.
So I think that was another one where I got it at incredibly short notice and did not have time to speed build this thing before heading out to Billund. I think I had like 2 days to do it. And it was like, I've got like all this other stuff I need to prep before I leave.
Yeah, you would message me something. You were very relieved that I had gotten mine a little bit earlier and had been able to build it. So yeah, that was a good time.
But yeah, I mean, it's been so much fun looking back at these Fan Media Days. But we'll keep going. We'll look at more Fan Media Days from over the years. We'll look at the whole 10 years of it. But that'll be in the next video. So subscribe to the channel. Make sure you've got your notifications turned on. And Daniel and I will get back together and carrying on looking back at Fan Media Days through the years. We'll see what other exciting stuff's coming up.